Hello and welcome to Nature Source Care. My name is Dr. Tonglen. I'm a naturopathic physician, and today I was going to talk about the medicinal benefits of the herb mint or Mentha species. And this is part of my kitchen pharmacy series. So if you're looking for other content like this, there's plenty available for you. A note beforehand, the information presented here is for educational purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. For any symptoms that persist or worsen, please consult with a qualified medical professional. It's always the best to determine the root cause of any disease, to develop a comprehensive treatment plan. With any botanical medicine or nutritional remedies, while they can be very effective, they may not be appropriate for everyone or as a single therapy, so please keep it in mind. The other thing to note is that the two most common side effects of any plant-based medicine are digestive upset and skin itching because the plants might be irritating to the person and those sensitive tissues of the body. Okay, so I mentioned, this is an ongoing series, and so if you're looking for more content like this, I would look in these playlists because I'm all about playlists on my channel, so they're organized and videos are easy to find. But botanical medicine, nutrition, and kitchen pharmacy. Okay, so and the information presented in this talk is based on the book I wrote called "Drink to Your Health: Medicinal Teas, Juices, and Milks from Around the World," which is available on Amazon if you ever want to pick up a copy. But the reason why I wrote this book is because, um, one, I'm interested in using, but also teaching people how to use foods and herbs, the things that are in their kitchen to help themselves and their health. And then the other thing is that I found it very difficult to find a book that integrated different paradigms of medicine in terms of nutrition. So my book integrates the paradigm of Ayurveda, which is traditional Indian medicine, naturopathic medicine, which is more like traditional natural medicine, and then the Western modern paradigm. Okay. Also, I tend to be very, obviously teaching oriented, and so my channel is that as well. So I have basically different playlists, and each playlist is essentially a course. So, for example, I have a Marma therapy course, which is Ayurvedic acupressure, and I've taught all 117 points on the body. So all those videos are out there, and the accompanying videos about philosophy and stuff are all on my channel, so they're available for you whenever you want. Also, Ayurveda is a greater umbrella for traditional Indian medicine. I have a playlist on that. Bach flower remedies, if you're into homeopathy, specifically Bach flower remedies, I've done most of the remedies by this time. I have a few more to do. I have a larger umbrella of homeopathy. Most of my homeopathy so far has been Bach flowers, but I'm almost done with the Bach flowers, so then I'll get more into classical homeopathy. I have a yoga meditation playlist, hydrotherapy or therapeutic use of water playlist, a body care playlist of all different types of ways to work with the body to support health. And then I also have a cleansing playlist, and the cleansing is not just physical, like liver and kidney, but also a mental, emotional, and spiritual cleansing. Okay. So a lot of learning out there for you as much as you're interested in it. Okay, well, let's get to mint. That's what we're talking about today. So the parts used are the leaves, and the method used is an infusion method. I have another video that I made describing and going into detail about different methods for making medicinal tea. So it goes through like infusion and decoction and all that if you want to look at the video. From an Ayurvedic perspective, mint increases vata slightly. It decreases pitta and it decreases kapha. It is considered to be a VPK herb, so pretty balanced, unless you do mint in excess. So a lot of mint, every day, almost every day, that sort of thing, especially if you yourself have a amount of vata or wind energy. Okay. Now, the energetics of this herb from an Ayurvedic perspective are pungent, sweet, cooling, and then pungent. So while this is a cooling herb, what's nice about it is this pungentness here, this pungent quality help is going to help mint be an herb that's going to help move things through the body, like increase circulation. Okay, but it's going to do so in a cooling way, as opposed to most warm or hot herbs also are pungent, but sometimes they're so pungent they'll start increasing inflammation, or if it gets really bad, destroying or degenerating tissue because there's just so much heat. Okay. So mint is pretty special that way. The other thing is mint, at least where I am in the world, in the northern hemisphere, we're going into the summer season right now. And so, what's also interesting is, you tend to find more people using mint in the warmer months and in warm weather. Okay, so now the different systems that can be affected by mint. So the nervous system, so mint lifts heaviness of mental and emotional tension. It can also lift headaches. Like sometimes I've seen like rollers with mint essential oil that you can kind of dot on your temples if you have a headache or something like that. I'd be very careful with that. I tried it once and I actually got some of that essential oil in my eye and it kind of irritated my eye. I mean, it wasn't too bad, but still, you want to be careful. Um, mint tends to have a very clearing effect on the mind because, again, if we're talking about vata energy here as an herb, then what are the qualities of wind, right? Vata is essentially wind energy. So the qualities of wind are light, moving, dry, also potentially erratic. So it is moving, but it's also light and clear. Okay. So it'll lighten and clear the mind if the mind is feeling heavy. It also has an antispasmodic function here and also increases concentration. I believe it's in Japan that they actually sometimes will waft the mint smell into offices to help workers concentrate and focus and be more productive. So, as far as the respiratory system is concerned, sore throat, laryngitis, bronchitis, cold and flu. Now, the reason why is that these things, sore throat, laryngitis, bronchitis, cold and flus, tend to, not always, be a combination of heat, inflammation, as well as congestion, so swelling. So whenever you have hot swollen tissues or hot congested tissues, like maybe a lot of mucus or that sort of thing, then mint will come in there and cool things down, get things moving instead of that stagnated, instead of having that stagnated energy, it'll start moving that energy and then it'll dry things out a little bit. So when there's too much mucus congestion. In the cardiovascular system, mint is a diaphoretic, meaning, excuse me, it'll make you sweat. And the reason why it does that is it what it does is it brings blood, hot blood from the core of the body to the surface. So when it's about a degree difference between the core of your body and the surface. So when you get the hot blood from the center to the top of, the layer of skin, initially, like if you drink a cup of mint tea, you'll notice like you feel kind of hot at first, and then you start to sweat and cool off. And the reason why is again the hot blood from the center of the body is going to the top, and then you can release some of that heat through the skin and cool things down. That's also why mint is usually good for fevers. Yeah. Hold on, I'm just trying to stay hydrated here myself as I go through the talk. Um, yeah, and so and as I've been mentioning, the cardiovascular system, mint will help increase circulation because of this pungent quality that it has. Now, for the gastrointestinal system, mint can be helpful for like nervous digestion, gas, bloating, IBS, nausea, vomiting, because again, nausea, vomiting, and at least from an Ayurvedic perspective, tends to be too much heat in the stomach. So mint can potentially cool that down. Intestinal spasms, again, that antispasmodic effect. Also, diarrhea and colic. Especially if we're talking about like a warm tea. If you do like a cool version, you're gonna kind of double up on the cooling effect of herb with the cooling preparation. Like a iced mint tea is going to be much more cooling than like a warm mint tea. Okay. So if there's something like, spasms, colic, that sort of thing, you might be interested more in a warm preparation of mint as opposed to a cool. Because spasms are typically like you're starting to get some vata there, some air energy. That's where that cramping comes from. Okay, for the genitourinary system, so painful burn in urine. So again, this is a cooling herb. Skin, so inflamed skin, allergic itching skin, because usually, especially when you have contact dermatitis, there's inflammation there, but there's also some swelling. So again, it's usually allergic skin is more of a kapha type of skin. Immune system, so it can help with colds. The female system, so it can help with morning sickness. Some people like to do ginger as well, but ginger is a warm herb. So depending on what else is going on in the stomach and GI, and depending on what else the constitution of the person, you might choose mint if they tend to be too hot, and you might choose ginger if they tend to be too cool. Okay, but also menstrual congestion and pain, because again, menstrual congestion and pain congestion, kapha, stagnation energy, pain, and sometimes the pain is from inflammation that's going on. So again, we've got heat and congestion again. Lack of menses, the lack of menses potentially, um, if it's more of like again, stagnation related lack of menses. Nutritionally, mint is very high in bioflavonoids, so those are molecules that help to build mucous membranes, like the mucous membrane in the respiratory system, in the gut lining, that sort of thing. Generally, mint is used as to help with fever, as I mentioned, because it's a diaphoretic, will help cool, will move the blood to the surface to cool it down. The other thing is mint, as you know, probably, is that it's used as a flavoring in all kinds of stuff, um, cookies and candies and all that sort of thing. And there are different species of mint, and spearmint, for example, is a milder form of peppermint, both in terms of taste and also slightly in terms of medicinal effects. Mint does have a special property, and that property is that it helps to normalize the flow of prana all over the body. So if you're not familiar with this term or concept of prana, that comes from, again, Ayurveda, traditional Indian medicine, and you can think of it if you are familiar with traditional Chinese medicine, they talk about qi. So prana and qi are essentially the same thing. It's like this vital life force. It's like the intelligent, life-preserving energy of the body. So when people are out of sorts for various reasons, mentally, physically, emotionally, something like a warm mint tea will help to normalize the flow of the body so that it becomes more coordinated rather than scattered. As long as you're not, again, doing too much mint all the time, because especially cold preparations, because then you might end up with too much vata. Okay. Now, mint is contraindicated in certain cases. And again, we're talking about high doses here. Usually a cup of, warm mint tea here and there is usually not a problem. But again, for some people, if they already have a high vata, either acute situation or constitutionally, like they tend towards things like epilepsy or nervousness, then they may not want to do mint every day, and they may not want to do cold mint preparations every day for sure. Because these sorts of conditions like epilepsy, that kind of spasming of the muscles and the nervous system, that comes and goes, that's a very high vata type of situation. Okay, so kind of, especially nervous, vata type nervous situations may not do well with a lot of mint. Also, acid reflux. So even though I've talked about, generally there's some, positive properties from mint for the gastrointestinal system. The thing is that the reason why mint, even though it's a cooling herb, the reason why mint is not always that great for acid reflux is it depends on what's causing the acid reflux. So mint will actually increase patency or openness of the pyloric valve, which is the valve that sits between the stomach and the small intestine. So that prevents, bile and stuff and other enzymes and food that's kind of digested and hot with acid from the stomach from going back into the stomach, backing up in the stomach. So again, too much mint, again, even mint candy, besides mint teas and stuff like that, or mint as an herb in your cooking, um, can be problematic for some types of acid reflux. Also, gallstones, potentially, because it can stimulate the liver gallbladder. And then there may be some interaction with iron supplements. Again, if you're doing small doses or occasional, supplement tea, shouldn't be a problem. But if you're doing high levels, again, this is all about high doses here, then and you've got an iron problem, then it might be a little bit problematic. Okay, so there you go. All different ways that you can use mint, and then again a few cautionary things down here at the bottom. Right. So again, all the information here is based on my book, Drink to Your Health: Medicinal Teas, Juices, and Milks from Around the World. If you ever want a copy, it's available on Amazon. You can pick one up there. I do have another YouTube channel called Light Vedic Astrology, where I discuss ancient Indian astrology, if that's of interest to you. And then I have an online photography gallery and gift shop. At Fine Art America, because most of the photography in my talks and stuff like that are photographs I've taken myself. So if you're into photos, uh, there might be something interesting there for you. All right. So as always, I want to thank you for your time. I always appreciate you stopping by and listening to one of my talks and all the other ways that you support my work in the channel. So whether it's subscribing to the channel or liking videos or posting comments or questions or sending in donations, um, all of it is appreciated. So thank you for all of that. All right. So until the next time, take care.